Hi, you're watching Bike Routes of Brum, a channel dedicated to finding safe cycle routes across Birmingham. In this video we'll be cycling from Northfield Town Centre to Kings Heath. In this route we'll be using quiet streets and venturing into the Kings Heath low traffic neighbourhood, and it should take about half an hour to cycle. There's multiple ways that you can do this route, including using the Ray Valley route, which I've already done a video on recently, and this is just one of the ways, so if anyone has any suggestions for other methods then feel free to write them down below. I've put a link to this route into the description below so you can download the GPX file for yourself. So we are starting in Northfield Town Centre and we're going to drop down onto Church Road and go past the shopping centre. Now this road is quite wide, but it is meant to be a 20 mile an hour. Whether people adhere to that or not I don't really know, but we're not going to stay on it very long. If you do feel a bit uneasy on it, you could always take a left just here and it will take you into Victoria Common. But we're going to carry on and go up this way instead, because sometimes the common's actually closed at night, and this is a way that seems to be accessed at any time. It does feel like you're just cycling in front of somebody's front garden, but apparently you can actually cycle there. So we drop down onto Heath Road South, and we're going to follow this now along the bottom of the common. There is a way that you can cut through the park, and if you decided to go that way you'd basically drop out a little bit ahead of where we're coming to now. There is actually a way to do this, cycling all the way through lots of different parks, but the way I've chosen to go is taking a right onto Dinmore Avenue. Again, if you wanted to you could go up one of these little service roads if you wanted to avoid being on the main bit, but I can't imagine this bit being particularly busy. We're going to take a left onto Innage Road and follow this round. Now my main aim for this route is basically to avoid cycling along the B4121, also known as Bumbury Road, and then Middleton Hall Road. Now these roads are pretty wide and basically provide the main link between Bristol Road and Pershore Road, and as such they can get pretty busy and they're not always the most pleasant to cycle along. Now the Bumbury Road section is actually pretty wide, but I have seen some idiots hurtling along there, so I thought it might be best to just weave our way through these back streets, although we will have to drop onto Bumbury Road for about 200 metres. Now, following my original plan was to follow Heath Road all the way until Maryvale Road and then can weave that way, but it cuts out a whole lane, which is really annoying, and you have to do a massive detour or walk your bike through a hedge basically, which isn't very accessible bike friendly. So I thought I'd avoid that. I think there's definitely space along Bumbury Road to actually put some sort of protected bike infrastructure, and this would link up with the eventual A38 cycle route and Cotteridge, but yeah, that's for another day. As such, we now drop onto Bumbury Road, which you can see there is some space there. I mean, there are some buses that go along here, but I'm sure you could fit something along here. It does then narrow after this bit. But we're going to take a left onto Northfield Road and follow this round. Now, if I was designing this cycle route along here, I'd actually consider directing it along Northfield Road, as Middleton Hall Road does actually get a little bit thinner, and this is quite a nice one to ride along. It also takes us past Kings Norton Boys School, which we'll go past, and this would provide, a good active travel alternative for people to use to get to school. Because I can imagine, especially along this bit where it does get a bit tighter, I can imagine this gets absolutely chaotic around school drop-off time. So, providing a safer route for kids to get to school could help alleviate that. At least there is some kind of traffic calming stuff on this road, which makes cycling along here a bit nicer, and the fact that this stretch is actually a 20 mile an hour zone probably helps as well. But it now turns into a 30 once you get past the school, which isn't great, but we're not on here for too long. We go over this roundabout. I mean, you can see buses go along here as well, but overall it's not too bad a road to cycle along. Nobody can go that fast. But we're going to take a left now onto Station Road, and if you'd gone right there you would have basically got to the back end of Northfield Station, which I did look as a route to kind of joining onto the Ray Valley route, but you've got to lift your bike over the pedestrian footpath, so it's not really ideal for us on bikes. We get to the end of the road and we're going onto Franklin Road. Now this bit of Franklin Road is, I don't know what scheme it was or anything, but it does seem to be a little bit of an LTN. There's something at the end of the road, as you can just see these planters which stop people using it as a cut through, which is quite nice. Makes it a lot nicer to cycle along. But we're going to go straight over and carry on along Franklin Road and come up to Cotteridge Park. Now, one thing that I've learned along this route, and it will become more apparent later, is how hilly Birmingham is. I thought Cotteridge Park was actually going to be worse because in my head it's just one giant hill, and this bit of Franklin Road in my head again, I thought, oh god, I'm going to have to cycle up here. And you can see that it is on a little bit of a hill here, but there's a dip down to it, which is, I actually didn't think it was too bad when I cycled along here. I think you get a bit of momentum. That will change later when you get to the other side of Stirchley, because what I've realised is that Stirchley is basically two giant hills, and no matter which way you go, you have to go up a massive hill. You can just see the Cadbury factory there in the distance, and we're going to take a right onto Maryvale Road. And if you did want to go to Cadbury World, take a left there, but we're going to carry on straight over and come to Bourneville train station. Now we go over the bridge here with Maryvale Road. There's some lights to kind of filter traffic out. Now you can either go to the end of Maryvale Road, but it's not always the nicest to turn onto Pershore Road. So what I thought we could do is take a left onto Lee House Road and go to the end of this and then drop onto Bourneville Lane. What I really wanted to do was show off a little bit of the new stuff that's opened up in Stirchley recently. And so we take a right here onto Bourneville Lane, and we come to this little bit of Stirchley where it's like one giant roundabout almost, but rather than going left where the traffic goes, we'll hop up onto this pavement, past the world's shortest cycle route, and over this Toucan crossing onto this newly developed bit. I don't know, it's had a bit of flack because it's not the best to sit in. You're just kind of sitting in the middle of the road, but I don't know, it's a lot nicer than what was there before, which was basically just an abandoned bit of land. But we're going to now drop onto Hazelwell Lane. The bit on the left there, not the nicest, but you can finally get through this little stretch now. This bit of road, I'm not sure why they haven't finished it. There must be somebody arguing over who owns what bit of road. But now they've put a modal filter on there to stop cars going through, but pedestrians and bikes can get through, and it's a nice way to get into Hazelwell Park. Now, basically, I think one of the big problems we have getting to Kings Heath is on a massive hill as well. So no matter which way you go, you're going to have to go up a huge hill. Now, whether that's Ford House Lane, that's one option, but it's quite busy. Cartland Road is also really busy. So I thought this way we can use Hazelwell Fordra, which is just as steep as the other two, but because it's kind of a dead end, you don't get that much traffic along here. Brace yourselves, because this hill sucks. There's no way of really going around that at all. At some point you have to go up a massive hill, and this to me seemed like the most sensible way to go. Now, one good thing about this is if you look to your left through the allotment there's quite a few gaps in the hedge, and you do get a really nice view over Birmingham. So that's one kind of good thing about this. And if you look behind you as you're cycling up, not that I advise doing that if you're actually pedalling, but if you get to the top of the hill, you get a really, really good view of the Cadbury factory as well from here. So there are little bonuses to this bit, but I don't know, if you've got an e-bike, use that. If you haven't, unlucky. I think when I was actually going up this, I think I had my son on the back, so it just made it even worse. But we get to the top of the hill, and you could go left along Pineapple Road, and that's where the new Pineapple Road station will be, and that would take you onto Cartland Road. But we're going to go right, and we're going to go onto this little bit of Vicarage Road here, but rather than following Vicarage Road all the way up to Kings Heath, because it can get quite busy, I thought we could go right onto Millbrook Road here, and basically we're going to cut through. Now, I don't know if you actually can cycle along this bit, but there's a nice little bit of pavement you can just jump up onto and go into King's Close here. Whether you can or not, I don't know. But basically, we're doing this route to kind of avoid going along Vicarage Road again. So we turn right there onto King's Road, and then we're going to take a left onto this road here. Now, as you can see, we're going downhill there, so you know that you're going to have to go uphill at some point. Past a little kid bombing it down a hill on his scooter on his own, and up Parton's Road. This is actually steeper than it looks, and it wasn't a particularly fun cycling experience, but it's more fun than cycling along Vicarage Road, which can be really busy and quite trafficy. So this was a way to kind of skirt around that, and unfortunately it does involve another hill. But I can't imagine this road gets particularly busy, and it's quite wide, so it seems like a safer route to go. Now, when we get to the top, we're then going to take a left, and we're going to go on to Grove Road, which if you followed this to the end, you'd get to the Red Lion. But we're going to take a right onto Bumbury Road and basically try and navigate our way through the start of the Kings Heath LTN. Again, this road isn't too bad to cycle along, quite wide, quite forgiving. I can't imagine that it gets too busy either, because it's kind of a road that links up to other main ones. But we're going to go onto Hazelhurst Road, which is quite, not a bad one to cycle along. And what you can see there is some planters in the distance, and this is the start of the Kings Heath LTN section. I can't remember when these actually popped up. It was probably 2021 maybe, but it has made this area a lot easier to cycle around now. But we're not on Hazelhurst Road for too long, because we get to the end and we take a left onto Abbott's Road. Now, we're just coming up to the junction with Vicarage Road and the edge of Kings Heath Park there. But we're going to go right onto Vicarage Road, not for too long though. Now, despite what loads of anti-LTN people say, it's not that busy along there. It's alright to cycle. We go left then, and we enter the Kings Heath LTN. We're going to take a right onto Silver Street. Now, if you were looking to go to the Lidl or something like that, you'd carry on. Now, the way we're actually going to go onto York Road, which is kind of our end destination, is actually the way you can drive into the LTN. So you might not even notice along this video that that's what we're cycling along. But so it does look like there's a bit more traffic than there normally is. But I don't live in Kings Heath, so I can't really comment on it. But it's made it a lot nicer to cycle along. And what they've done with this bit, despite the fact that these bollards are constantly going missing, I mean, you can see that one, somebody's tried to run it over, which is a bit of a shame, but it's had a massive effect on this bit and made this road really nice. And it's where we're going to end our video. Thanks again for watching the video. I hope that you found it useful. If you have any other ideas for alternate routes or want to mention anything that I've forgotten, please feel free to comment below. I try to upload these videos as much as I can, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any routes. Thanks again for watching.